Good afternoon, everybody. Let's get started in the next session. Just to say that clearly my voice hasn't returned throughout the day. So the final two sessions of today, and then I've got a bit of announcement just to give people some details and information before dinner this evening. So the next session, I'm often asked in a non-ironic way, what do our board members do? So I'm actually going to just give some of our board members a chance to talk about the different things they do at LCRIG and also the work that they do in their local regions and also how they feed into our organisation and our business plan. And then following a sort of a bit of a fireside chat with our board members, I'm pleased to sort of encourage Carla, who again, many of you will have seen last year. It was her first time speaking at Strictly, who's been working on a very important project with me this year. And she's going to talk about that with Darren. And then again, finally, I'm just going to give you some pointers for the dinner this evening. So without further ado, I wonder if you could each introduce yourself. Not everyone may know you.
Hello, my name is Andy James. I'm Business Director for Cornwall Highways down in the southwest.
Afternoon, Dwayne Lowe. I'm the Assistant Director for Highways and Engineering at Bolton Council.
Carol Valentine, Kent County Council, working on leading on business intelligence and technology and information. Kent County Council.
Kent County Council. I'm Sean Rooney. I'm the Head of Service for Highway Maintenance in the beautiful Shire County of Oxfordshire. That sounded really pretentious, didn't it? I'm a Manc, really. I'm from Manchester, so I work in Oxfordshire.
So I think the first question I would like to ask each of you is what made you get involved with what LCRIG does? Because you're all very, very busy people. You've all been very enthusiastic. What was it that drove you to work with us in the first place? Carol, I'm going to start with you.
Thanks very much. A couple of things, really. So prior to getting involved in LCRIG, I had been working with authorities, almost in an informal way, on looking at what we were doing with technology in the highways space. So we'd done that for a little while, so that had sort of developed. Then we started to talk to LCRIG, and Suzanne in particular got involved with us and our group. Knew what we were doing, thought, well, actually, there could be some value in joining up what we were doing with LCRIG. So that's how I got involved. So we started off, I represent, our group includes 7 authorities across the southeast of England, so that's ourselves. I've written them down so I wouldn't forget. East and West Sussex, Brighton and Hove, Hampshire, Medway and Surrey. So we sort of as a collective were having these discussions, and then we sort of brought LCRIG in with that to give us not just direction, but to help to bring us together what was happening across the rest of the country.
And for people that aren't aware, what we do at the LCRIG regional groups is we support the groups with their meetings, their minutes, and helping them to find speakers and also facilitate the regularity of the meetings. And Andy, I know you got involved with LCRIG through quite a good route, but your regional group is quite a different sort of group, isn't it?
I suppose coming from Cornwall, it has to be, doesn't it? Yeah, I think so. I think our group evolved from a desire to share knowledge and collaborate across the southwest. On the back of COVID and the lockdown, it felt as though there was a bit of a void of exchanging information and knowledge across authorities. So we developed a bit of a forum to begin to do that. We did a bit of a survey of the people that attended, and the view was that we wished to collaborate both inter-authority but also with the industry and invite industry in. Alec Peachy came along to one of those very early discussions, and we developed the link in with LCRIG. And the view we took was that LCRIG would be a really good vehicle to help us develop that, to help us collaborate, to help us innovate. And that's now grown into probably a biannual, so a couple every year at least of events where we invite industry colleagues in. We focus at the moment on decarbonisation, which is a topic led by the people that attended. So the survey informed us of what people wish to talk about. We had a really full programme a couple of weeks ago at an event down in Dorchester, talking about materials, talking about foam mix, talking about decarbonisation, talking about asset management. We had one previously with a real focus on biodiversity. So my view certainly is that if we involve industry in those conversations, we can drive that innovation, we can help to learn from each other. And it was really interesting thinking about the IPS opportunities and the suggestion that we collaborate on trials. I think there's real opportunity for, if we develop trust across those authorities, that we can do pilots, we can do trials, we can potentially use the IPS to facilitate some of that. So I don't know if it's that different, but it's certainly something that we feel, I feel is a really good vehicle to collaborate and innovate across the Southwest.
And Dwayne, I know you've been part of an established Northwest group, and unfortunately Paul Binks is not able to join us today, but could you give a bit of a flavour about the other group that has now become affiliated with LCRIG?
Yes, so I'm here representing Bill Manby, who actually chairs our group, and which is a really well-established Northern direct managers group. Really well attended by lots of northern councils, and I've got them written down here just so I don't forget anyone. It's Derbyshire, Lincolnshire, Kirklees, City of York, East Riding, Bolton, Lancashire, the two Cumbria authorities, which are now Westmoreland and Furness and Cumberland, Durham and Northumberland. So it's kind of bigger than just the Northwest. We cover quite a large geographical area. The focus of the group, and the reason that we came together was really because we all had a direct labour organisation, so it was really around discussions around our operational services. We work closely together to benchmark aspects of our services, and we do really support and assist each other, sharing challenges and opportunities. And the difference, I suppose, with the group that I'm part of is we'll each start with an update on our council. So this update includes other things like the politics of the organisation, which is constantly changing. We'll talk about the structure, or quite often we'll talk about the restructuring of our organisations and what part of that restructure that we're at. And like I've said, we do benchmark a lot of aspects of those services, and that's shared in a really safe environment. And I know colleagues before were talking about where the TECLs have come together, and it's good to be able to share that commercial information, but we can share that, how much. So for example, something we're doing at the moment around, we tend to visit winter maintenance issues this time of year. So we'll do a direct comparison around what we pay for standbys, what we pay for overtime, who pays for bank holidays and things like that. It's useful for all of us because we're all facing challenges and internally and trying to attain staff. So there's lots of other kind of standard agenda items which are really around innovation, materials, what materials we're trialling. We'll quite often invite someone to come and talk, which one of the members will have promoted. So someone might be doing something different, or someone might have a particular interest. So between us, we'll search for an organisation to come and present to the group. So we meet quarterly. We used to always meet in person, but now we meet twice on Teams and twice in person. But getting out to the other authorities and visiting their offices, having the opportunity to go to their depots is really beneficial. And I suppose just to finish off, the groups that we're all part of, it's the people that makes the groups beneficial. And it's been, for us, we talk about it in terms of a bit of a support group, and it's where we'll go with our challenges, go with our issues, we can talk in a safe space, and on the whole, we normally finish the meetings feeling a little bit better.
So all of the groups that we tend to manage, as some of the ones you've seen here, tend to almost be exclusively local authorities. And although, Andy, you have both sort of supply chain and local authorities, for a number of the other groups, we always give them the option whether it's local authority only or a mix of organisations. And I think for some local authorities, that safe space to share either innovations or things is really quite important. And Sean, you've had a sort of more national advocate and a wider role within LCRIG, haven't you?
I have, yes, and you mentioned a question that why did I get involved in LCRIG right at the start, and again it goes down to personalities. I was at an event with Suzanne. I had the blessed fortune of sitting next to Suzanne, and she mentioned this organisation, and she mentioned this guy up in Blackpool, and he's doing this kind of thing. I thought that sounds quite good, so I went along to a meeting at Stockport and thought this is really good. And then I just saw a gap, in terms of, well, what more can we do? We're a bunch of organisations, and it goes back to what we were saying before. It's about communicating messages. It's about, doing things together, being really exposed to learning. And I just thought it was a really exciting time. And when Paula and Martin invited me to become part of the advisory board, I was thrilled. This is my thrilled face. But it was a really exciting time to actually put something back and to coordinate, across the board and work with great colleagues, not just from the LCRIG team, but the wider LCRIG board. And, I also am starting up a regional group. I'm at the nascent stage, very much so, where it's growing. And it's a case of its difficulty. And Paula gave me some very wise words a while back, saying, well, don't worry, the ones that are well established, it didn't happen overnight. Persevere. And that's what we will do. We will persevere because it's essential that we have a voice for the sector that reaches out to a wider audience that as a group of individuals we might not have the ability to, or the aspiration, or the willingness, or the confidence to do so. And I think, as Dwayne well knows, this is councils for councils, LCRIG for councils, and that's why we're here.
Do you want to explain that story, Dwayne?
Thanks, Sean. So so we just so happened at our last board meeting, I might have noticed a footer on the bottom of the agenda, which apparently has been there for some time, but it was new to me. So maybe it's my attention to detail. I suddenly noticed it anyway. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Sean, because we are four councils.
Yeah. So I think again, what I really wanted to do was just, some people hear us talking about our sort of board at LCRIG, but the really important thing is that almost to keep us honest and to keep on track with what we're doing is having these guys as a sounding board. You knowing these guys are there, if there's things that you think we need to be thinking about in terms of the agenda that we're doing and everything else, then again, these guys are, the extended part of the LCRIG team, really. And we absolutely couldn't work. It's these guys that help us with a bit of intelligence. It's these guys that tell us, actually, there are some fundamental issues that we think you should be raising with DFT or things like that. And we make sure that we also continually ask the board about what we might be doing in the next 6 months or the next 12 months. So again, reach out to our board members, reach out to ourselves, but also just know that there are these groups and facilities are available. I know a lot of people will pick up the phone to Suzanne, our famous 118 sort of contact person, but actually there is as much help with these guys here. And I think just to finish the panel, what is the one thing that you've learned within the group or the area that you've been looking after? Carol, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I think I would say that it's hard to say one thing, but our last group meeting, which we had, which was last week, not everyone could stay until the end, so we ended up with about, I think, 4 councils left, and of the 4 councils left, 12 products are being trialled across the region. And when you can get those trials and those discussions going on across the region, that's really good because we're learning from each other. So for me, it's the learning from each other. We don't want things to happen in a silo. And I think what's happened in local government, in highways, and we've heard it earlier about trials. A trial happens in one area and never does that information get out anywhere else. Well, we're never going to change the sector until we can get those trials and the failures and the successes spread across the region. So that, for me, is a key thing we're taking away from our group. People are very engaged. They want to be there. They're coming every single meeting, every authority is saying, we're doing this, come and see what we're doing, come and see what lining we're doing, come and see what else we're doing. So for me, that's the thing, get everybody together, share the learning, and that's going to improve the sector.
Andy, quickly from you.
The power of developing a network, I think don't ever underestimate how that can help you in times of stress and trouble. Being able to pick the phone up or talk to someone through the LCRIG family, be that within a local authority or within industry, somebody's probably dealt with that problem previously and come up with a solution, and having that ability to talk, I think, is really, really important.
Thank you, Sean, and then we'll come to you, Dwayne, and then...
Yeah. Ditto what's been said. I'll tick these off on here, the ability to phone a friend, but the important thing for me is to maintain that level of enthusiasm, because as I said earlier, not everybody is able to come along to events such as this, and we've got to keep it at a regional and local level to represent the councils that we're involved in. And and as Paula said, you know, that please do feel free to contact myself or any other board member, because as part of the advisory board, we are there to check and challenge the LCRIG team. And, you know, we wouldn't be where we are if the splendid and super ideas that come from the team, you know, we get a phone call from Martin on a Thursday afternoon, hey up kid, how you doing? What do you think to this? You know, and it's that kind of thing that we just need to maintain.
Dwayne, we'll finish with you.
So just for the benefit of colleagues as well, and just to prove that I have read the programme and I can stay on message, I would say collaborations. It's that opportunity for us all to collaborate, to trust one another and to share that information and benchmarking, and the power of having that wider network. And Sean's talked about there the fact that you can, you know, pick up the phone, talk to one another, because we're all struggling with our own challenges around budgets, around everyone's doing different things. We're all trying to achieve the same thing as council. So sharing that information, learning from other people's mistakes as well as the things that they're doing well is really important. But to have that opportunity and be part of that network is second to none.
Can I just make I want to make a public apology to Dwayne. We do get on, and I think it's the important thing that humour is excellent in the board. And when would I have the pleasure of sitting with colleagues from Bolton, Cornwall at the same place? So I apologise, Dwayne, and hopefully you'll forgive me.
Apology accepted. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.